Yeah, that is true.
Marriage and femininity. Eh, I
Can
actually
we invite our grandmothers to this conversation and question
actually we need
some
to
of
put
these
them on
things?
board.
Because honestly,
Another example was the whole Jada and Will Smith thing.
I think for me, with the whole Jada thing, right? I have literally two sides to the whole thing, right? There's a Jada who, during their separation, went out of the marriage and did whatever that she did, right? Of which men do it all the time. I mean, when we
These are conversations with my sisters.
of which men do it all the time. I mean, when we separated, it means we separated. Basically, we can move on with our lives and be okay with it, right? And I understand the whole concept of other people questioning that whole thing to say, oh, but like if it was a man and she went out and she had a relationship outside, it would be okay, right? Because they were separated, there'd be more understanding, right? Of which that's where I'm at. And then there's a second aspect of it, right? Of one thing that I did not agree with the whole Jada thing. Because I think one thing also about our topic today about toxic femininity is that we choose what
Yes.
is what we think is right and what we think is not right, right? With the whole Jada thing, I feel like a lot of women were calling her Gabadia, a lot of women were calling her all these things that we'd normally call a man, right? Because she went out of her marriage and she got into a relationship. But I think one thing that we're not even calling her for is she went into a relationship with a 20 something year old at the time, and not only did she go for a 20 something year old at the time, but basically she went for a person who was dealing with who had a lot of issues, right? Who had come into the family to seek help, some sort of help, you know? So in essence, taking advantage of this 20 something year old, right? If roles were reversed and it was a man who had taken advantage of, because I think she took advantage, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if it was a man who had taken advantage of a 20 something year old, had a relationship with that girl, and then went back to the wife, we would be marching to Union Building if it was happening in South Africa. Right? We would be marching to the Union Building, calling this man out,
Hmm.
calling other men to say, call your fellow brother out for this predatory behavior, right? But because it's a woman that's doing this, we are all up in arms, we're smiling, we're sharing videos, we're all excited. It's like she's representing us. But maybe she's representing other people, but you know, she's definitely not representing me as a woman. As a woman,
I'm so sorry.
I am very much
Yeah.
concerned. You know? I'm very much concerned to say like, why? You know, I mean, behavior was predatory. That's like the bottom. You know, that's like number one. Her behavior was very predatory, and I think we are to call her out for that. Not to call her out for having gone out when they're in separation and engaged with someone else, but I'm saying calling out for predatory behavior the same way we would call out another man.
Amen. Yes.
Because what's happening now is that men are questioning our movement again. They're saying to us, "Oh, so this is you? You guys remember when R. Kelly did?" And now it goes back, and we start to introspect to
Yeah,
say, "But I
same.
mean, R. Kelly did, she did obviously with other women, groom them, and we could also still call it grooming with Jada, you know. I mean, August now is doing songs. August is saying, "I'm in love with this woman," you know, and we're not saying anything. We're just quiet in our corners, and we're constantly just picking through to say, "Oh, actually." Amanda to Jada. And
I mean,
guys, those
I
things
saw.
are what makes us toxic, eh?
Yeah, I think I saw a comment. I don't know if it was a man or woman, but the person was saying, because I think a similar thing came out of, they didn't compare it to Ari Kelly's situation, but a similar thing came out of if it was a man doing this to a young girl, then it would be a big deal. And somebody said, he's in his 20s, so you can't say he's young anymore. He's an adult.
Yeah, he's not
So
a minor.
he's not a minor, you understand? So
Hmm.
how do you go and fight such a thing whereby you sitting there and you perceiving it as wrong, but another person will come to you and say, but Ayanda, this person is trending, you understand? He can make up his mind, he can, forgetting that he was in a fragile state living there,
Yeah.
forgetting,
Um.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
My network is terrible. I don't know if you guys can hear me now, but
Yeah.
me and Ayanda had, I think, a brief discussion, not like a lengthy conversation about it, but what we were saying was that it's amazing how if tables were turned, not necessarily if he was South African, but if tables were turned and Will Smith was the one that did this, we would be up in arms. Like, how dare he, date someone who was suspected to be friends with his child, say Willow, for instance. How dare he do that? That's wrong. We would definitely be marching. Like, it would be wrong on all levels. But it's like we defend certain things when it's for our beneficial. If it's not, then it's wrong. It's like there's no gray, there's no silver lining. If it's black, it's black. If it's white, it's white. But then if we are the ones that are doing it, then we're like, I think I can accept that it's kind of gray. There is kind of like a gray area, but which is wrong, which I feel like we defend. We don't want to accept that there is toxic femininity. We don't want to accept the responsibility of what we are doing as women as well, and what we are promoting, which is wrong. And it's like with gender based violence, I've seen how if it's a woman, it's like we are so used to women being abused and beaten up that when it happens, look, it's hashtags, everyone is like up in arms, we are fighting about it, we are pissed, we are mad. But when a story comes up and they're like, this teenage girl stabbed her boyfriend because he didn't want to be with her anymore, now we're like, what did he do? What did he do to deserve that? But then we don't ask those questions when it's women. We don't say, how, why did she cheat? If had she been faithful, this would have not have happened. But then if it's a man, then we're like, women are not violent. Women don't beat men up. What did he do to deserve this? Which I also feel is very toxic from us women. It's very wrong that we want to defend certain things only when it's for our benefit. When it's not, when men are on the receiving end, then it's like we don't give a
Whatever,
fuck.
whatever.
Yeah, it's whatever. Like, it's a man. Why didn't he fight for himself? He's weak. Which is another thing. We like saying men are weak if they don't beat women up. But then if there's a situation and two people are fighting and the man doesn't beat the woman back, then he's weak. But if he beats her back, how dare you beat a woman up? You're not supposed to be beating a woman up. It's like a whole nother topic. So, but then if a woman was defending herself, then she's right. She's well within her rights to beat him up as well. And I feel, Wuti, we can only, not that we can only have such discussions, but I feel like we have to come to a point where we 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 do realize the part that we are playing in all of this. you know we can't say there is no toxic femininity, there is only toxic masculinity. No, there's a part that we are playing, there's something that we are doing. Like Snotile said, we are enablers of such things, because we 1 minute we agree, and then the next minute it's like, now we back in our corners, we don't want to say anything anymore. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say, that we need to come to a point where we're like, you know what, we are also toxic to some extent. And not only men are trash, women are trash too, and we need to call them out for such behaviors.
And I think also another thing is, I think going back to also the Jada thing and your question and your comment, Gusha, about the comment that you saw about someone saying, but that's a 20-year-old, or they're not a minor, or they're not. I think, sometimes we downplay power relations, right? Whether in a relationship or at work and or anywhere else, right? We downplay the I mean, between a 20-year-old and a 50-year-old woman, for example, right? We can't look at the situation and be like, oh, but he's 20, he's no longer a child by definition in our country, right? We need to also look at, but what does this woman have? What power does this woman have? And what power does this 20-year-old have? And in a relationship like that of Jada and August, for example, right? Jada is like a Grootman in the business, for example, I can say, right? He
In the
chills,
industry.
their
Yeah, yeah.
family, his family,
She's
and
a
everyone else.
kapati.
They're very well, yeah, they're very well established in their business, right? So she is definitely someone I would go to for any type of assistance, right? I mean, she's done the red table talk where she's had people come, sit down, have conversations, right? People have liked that, right? So as a young man, I'm thinking, you know what? This person might actually be the right person to help me out with something, right? But if that person turns around and then sort of takes advantage of it, even if there's consent, it's still taking advantage, right? Because I think sometimes we like, no, but it was very consensual. But even if there was consent, the power that exists between me and this person allows me as a young 20-year-old to agree with everything they say. Because one, I need help. Secondly, what if I piss this person off and suddenly I no longer make music or I no longer act or, anything like that? And I think sometimes we think it's only men that have a certain power, but women have a certain power as well, especially where money is involved, where connections are involved. So to that person who was commenting minor and whatnot, the power relations that exist between these two people is not the same. So we need to also be very mindful, of such things. Because I think now also another thing that is happening recently, there's been the whole thing. I don't know if you guys watch Litapo. It's like a show on SABC2, right? So basically, this actress on the show came out saying one of the senior actors had sexually assaulted her, right? And women were very supportive, very supportive. And then to the end, this man was fired from the show, right? In a situation such as that, where other women also came, to say, oh, he's actually done it to me before, we need to look at things like, why did it take those women a little bit more time to actually come out? Because it's fear. I might have consented to certain things or whatever, but I mean, the fear that I have will obviously stop me from either saying something, or will obviously stop me from even saying no to this person. So I think, power relations is a thing, and both women and men can be powerful, depending on whatever situation. And we need to
Can
just
I
stop.
can I can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Um, so there's the whole Jada and Will Smith situation, right? And when we talk about August and we talk about Jada, we talk about consent because he was an adult and whatnot, right? But then I also stand that it was very predatory of her to do that. But then now I look at the whole Zorta situation. We have a Zorta in our country, by the way, who dates young men.
Oh,
And
Yay!
and now I'm asking myself that
yeah.
if this 20-year-old something boy who is very young, like younger than me, by the way, younger than all of us, dating a Zorta, and we like, hey, Mara, he likes money, but nobody says anything about that being predatory. Why is it that because now we know that August had, I don't know, issues health-wise and all those things, we are very conflicted about discussing this whole thing, but then nobody says anything about Zorta. Aren't these two women doing the same thing?
They are.
They
They
do.
They
are.
are actually.
Um,
They are.
I,
it
I
also
hate to say this, but I don't even. like her because of the and so for me to actually like I've been called out before by people who have said to me, oh, but you're a hater, you know, because I mean you spoke about her in a situation because remember she had a relationship with the person that she I think they got
Almost married.
engaged or not.
Almost
Yeah.
married.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't
almost
like
married.
people in my circle would tell you I had an issue. I was just like, what?
It is
Doesn't make
bloody
sense.
disgusting. Well, for me, I was also one of those people that were like, what the hell?
But
What
people
is going
received it
on?
well. Hey? People received it well. They were really saying, "Yo, are we happy for you? Congratulations! You're amazing. This is beautiful." Even all the pictures that she was taking and the videos, and people were like, they were really boosting this thing. I feel like, in order for something to continue, it needs, for a car to move, it needs petrol. People,
True.
yes,
People are
were
fueling it.
yeah, they were fueling her behavior and they're still doing it till today. So do you think she will wake up one day and be like, actually what I'm doing is wrong? When people keep saying, no, what you're doing is great. Men go on and be like, Zorta, can I be next? Can I give you my numbers? Can I DM you? Do you understand? So I feel like because people have fueled it to the point that they have, now it has become something that's normal and they see it as okay. So then you come across an Ayanda and Lithokonolo who will be like, I hate her. And imagine what people are going to do to her.
I don't
No.
even can I just correct? I do not hate her, right? I think her hustle and all of that. I don't hate her. I just hate her predatory behavior.
Yeah.
And I think
Thank
she posted,
you.
commented on that guy's Instagram picture, right? And then when people started bashing her for it, you know what she did? Instead of coming and saying, you know what, I'm sorry, she did a video where she was basically showing all of us the middle finger and we took our L's, some of us, and then we went back to our corners because we do not want to be like we've been called haters. We've been called, oh, you always saying that you are for women, but when women start doing things, I mean, I'm not gonna applaud nonsense. I think I think
No,
that's
you
just
can't. Eh? You
I'm not gonna
can't.
applaud nonsense because other people are applauding it.
We want to accommodate nonsense. We really like accommodating nonsense, eh?
It's
Yeah.
exactly in the same light as how people were applauding the whole Jada thing and Jada. And Lihlohonolo said something quite important. She spoke about responsibility. And I think that as women, we don't want to take responsibility. Hence there's so much of these things that keep happening, which is absolutely toxic. Come to think of it, now that you guys have brought it up, it is so toxic. Because again, if roles were reversed, we would be crying woe. We would be like, why is this old rich man going for these young people? There's clearly a reason why that is happening, and we would be calling out nonsense because it is nonsense. But when the roles are reversed, we want to say, well, it's kind of none of my business. Also, you go, girl, get your, and then another thing that Ayanda spoke about that I also took in was privilege. I think that everybody has a certain level of privilege, and so do women. Just like we have the privilege to date younger people, we have the privilege of not calling out nonsense when we see it. We have the privilege of, there's just privilege that comes with being a woman. And again, it's important to call out when somebody is using their privilege to the detriment of someone else, or when they're using their privilege to disempower someone else, or practice their power or overpower someone else. And the examples of Zorta and Jada are both perfect examples of women who have used their feminine privilege, they've used their financial power, and just feminine energy. They've used it to for their benefit.
Yeah, and to get away with crime.
Yeah.
Basically. right?
They do, really. They do. They
And
really
I
do.
think,
Hey?
you know, I think also another thing that we we probably have to also be very mindful of, um, is that just before that, né, I think people must also be very understanding that more than anything, we're not even bashing any women movement or saying that if we are
Mm-mm.
doing a men are trash and then there should be a women are trash um, movement going on, right? We're
Yeah.
not basically saying that, but what we're saying is that the privilege that exists between these two genders, right, is very telling when it comes to certain things. I
Mm.
mean, with an instance, the whole Zotwa and Jada thing, right? As women, we are not going to be quick to judge her or say judge them or say horrible things or say whatever, right? Because of the privilege that we have as women too, because we do certain things as well, right? We call young children as young as three my husband. Oh, you must greet my husband for me, you know, which and I know, as very light and playful as it is, you know, but that's where such predatory behaviors come from, you know. I remember this one time I was working with a friend of mine, right, and she has a son, right. So the son was literally dressed in like a really nice, like a suit type of wear, right, and we bumped into these ladies, and these ladies were saying, oh, oh, when I wait, I can make you my husband, you know. And people laughed, you know, and people laughed, and people, you know, did those things. And my friend like saw that my face was like, you know, my friend was like, oh, what's wrong? And I'm like, you know, I didn't like them. She's like, oh no, they're playing. I'm like, they are playing today.
Mm.
Tomorrow when he's molested, tomorrow when he is
Mm-mm.
raped, you're gonna cry as a mother, right? Because you didn't call it out from the
Mm.
get-go. You know, it's just like, no, but like it was such a big thing, you know, for her. She was like, no, but they were playing, like there's nothing wrong. You know, I'm like, no, there's anything wrong. He's a child. Why look at a
Mm.
5-year-old, their husband? You know, because
It's
that's
wrong.
thing they start from, right? If you didn't call me back then when I was saying to a 5-year-old my husband, you're not gonna have a courage to call me when I am pursuing a 15-year-old, you know? Because I mean it's the same. I'm gonna remind you actually to say how you, but didn't you, and you'll say,
You
oh
didn't
no,
have a
but I
problem.
thought, you know. So I really think like such things are wrong, and we are very much afraid to even call them out because we don't want to be labeled as haters. We don't want to be labeled as people that are pushing the movement down. We don't want to be labeled as women that don't like other women, right? You know. And I think we need to sort of stop excusing certain behaviors
Mm.
and laughing, you know. I for one, like I laugh, like I love laughing, but if something is just not true to me, I'm not gonna laugh. And even if there's 50,000 people behind me and they're laughing to say, oh, if it's not funny, it's not funny, you know. And I think we just need to stop excusing such behaviors and calling each other out. Like I've said it so many times because I feel like we need to start doing it. We really need to start calling, and it starts from a very small circle of your friends, your
Mm.
family, your mom. You
Yeah.
know, teaching our parents as well, because I mean, for them as well, it's like we've said that it was sort of a generational passing of things. You know, they
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah.
but we need to teach them. You know, and as difficult as it is to unlearn, it is possible to unlearn certain things. You know, it's
Mm.
not gonna take one conversation, but a reminder of like have a series of conversations with them. Show them this video if you have to say this is what young
Mm.
women are saying. You know, because we get to live these lives where, you know, if in the streets we're walking and a guy greets you and you're not smiling, they insult you, and you have to be okay with that because people do
Men
it,
are men. Yeah.
you
Mm.
know. But we're not realizing the danger that is creating for everyone else, like our little sisters, our nieces, and everyone else, you know. So if we're gonna literally not be mindful of things we say and things that people do around us, and there's really no point to have these conversations.
I remember when I started having an opinion, because for a very long time I didn't want to say anything about the whole Will Smith and Jada thing. I was like, you know what? I know a lot of people don't agree with what I'm saying, so I might as well just keep my mouth shut and keep it moving. But then someone asked me something, and when I had an opinion, they were like, "Ha, Mara, he's an adult," and I'm like, "Yes, he's an adult, but do you understand how?" Oh, and another excuse they gave me was that we've grown up and we've seen sugar daddies and all those things. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I accept what was going on then when I was back in school. I didn't like it then and I don't like it now, so why bring up the whole thing of how but men do it all the time? But we are not men. Why do women want to be like men so much? Why do we excuse certain behaviors as himbi and say, but men do it? If it's wrong, regardless of who's doing it. So, like, if your mom jumps in the fire, you're gonna jump in with her because she's your mom.
True. I think we're scared of calling men out. No? We're scared of calling men out and telling them what they're doing is nonsense. So we end up adopting those behaviors so that we can console ourselves with them. Do you understand? That's why I think a lot of us, we excuse things of men do this, men do that, men do this. You understand? I think if we put a stop to it, because we mimic these things to a certain extent, now it starts seeming, it looks like it's something that is okay to do.
It's acceptable.
Yeah, it's acceptable. So that's why we have societal norms and societal expectations and all that. You understand? So if we could cut that, stop mimicking what men are doing, instead act in a different way, maybe we might end up showing some men that what you're doing is wrong. Do you understand? Because sometimes actions speak louder than words, guys. So if we're going to take something that a man does and we mimic it, and after that we throw a party for it and be like, no, but Jada is okay. You understand? Men do it all the time. Men have been doing it forever. And then we start excusing her behavior. Men will never see that what they're doing is wrong and what they're doing is actually hurting us as women. They're going to be like, okay, women do it, so we might as well. Because there's a thing going around now that women are actually the best cheaters out there.
I was about to say, it's like we have conditioned ourselves into thinking whatever men do, we can do it better. And we are so proud of it. If they're going to date young girls, we can do it better. And we're going to make it public, which is wrong, which is something we should stand up against. And I feel like my dilemma with this whole thing is, okay, I was raised in a way that my friends, people that are my age group, whether they're my friends or not, they are my mom's children, they are my dad's kids because they are the same age group as me. But now when someone as old as my mother goes out and dates someone my age or even younger, why don't I see something wrong with that? That means she can date my friends. And if you and I have a discussion about it and you stand against your parent dating someone your age, what makes you think it's okay when someone outside does it? It doesn't make sense. If it's wrong at home, it should be wrong outside as well. It makes no difference of who's doing it. And like I said, we should be the change that we want to see, basically. And it starts with us, it starts with our friends, it starts with our family. We should have these discussions and be very, very honest about how we feel about certain things. And yeah, it's basically that for me.
This time, I think in terms of what you ladies are currently talking about is that we are trying to catch up, so to speak. We're trying to we women have spent so long living under men, and we're trying really hard to catch up. We're trying to cheat, we're trying to play the game. The game is so cold, the game is this, the game is that, whatever, all of that good stuff. And we aren't recognizing that toxic plus toxic does not cancel each other out. It does wrong will not cancel each other out. And because of that culture of trying to catch up and the culture of trying to mimic, we're also kind of losing ourselves in the process. And we're not recognizing that we can't be trying to mimic what men are doing and then say that we want certain level of respect as well, because again, toxic and toxic cannot cancel each other out. And we need to, like Oanda has been saying, we need to question things. We need to call out things. We need to say, if something is wrong, it's wrong. A spade is a spade. It's a tool. It's wrong. We can't call a spade a hammer now because now it's been done by women. It's still wrong. It's very wrong.
Do you think, do you think that we are here today because one, we didn't say anything, our parents didn't say anything, or that they said so much for so long that they eventually got tired of talking and now they're just like, if you're going to do this, then I'm going to do it too? Like, what do you think actually happened for us to get to this point?
Yeah, that definitely. That's actually one of the things that I noted down, but I kind of forgot as the conversation was going, is that we've been talking, guys. We've been crying. We've been. And it has gotten to the point where I guess this is the birth, or was the birth, of toxic femininity, because we were like, you're gonna be toxic, I'm gonna be toxic even better than you. You're gonna do it,
okay,
I'll do it too. Instead of leaving a relationship, manje, both of us are gonna play this game where I'm gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat.
Yeah.
I mean, till when? So again, these conversations are conversations that we ought to have and say, guys, we know men are trash. We know this. We know that we've been through a lot. We've also gained a lot in the years that, in the past years. So we need to be able to call, if we are able to call out toxic masculinity, and all of those things, we need to be able to call out toxic femininity in order to bring order. Because otherwise, what's the point? Everybody living their so-called best life and just people going around hurting people.
I think also talking about that whole thing of catching up, right? I think as women, we also have, I don't know if this is like an established thing already or like it's in my head, but I feel like we also have men envy.
Oh, yes. Ooh, yes, yes.
And this is coming from
I didn't even know how to put it in words, Ayanda.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, but like, but I was like looking at like things like you know how psychology would talk about things like your electro complex and your penny's envy for like girls and boys, right? I look at it and I'm sometimes like, I think it's men envy. I think you know with and I'm so scared of even saying this because guys, I'm probably going to be dragged, but it's okay. But I think
Yeah.
remember when we were growing up, right? When we were growing up, right, as children, one of our biggest desires in lives was to be adults, right? Because being adults, it comes with this privilege, it comes with this ability to be able to make decisions and do this and do that, right? And I think as women, sometimes we look at men and we have a desire to be in the same position as them, not necessarily to be men, but to be in the same position as them, to have the same privilege that men have, right? And in our desire, we completely shut down. We are wearing those balaclavas and we are saying, I'm gonna be in that position, regardless
And
of
we forget ourselves in the process.
But I feel like
destruction or without, I don't care what type of destruction I'll be causing in society, I'm gonna get there. You know? And I think that is essentially the problem. Men envy.
we mimicking the wrong things, guys. We envying the wrong things, actually. Do you understand? envy being a CEO, yes. Don't envy cheating. Like, guys, I feel like as women, we're taking this thing of trying to be on the same level with men, and we absorbing the wrong things. Do you understand? Things that we are supposed to be taking from them, we're not taking. No, those we're not taking. We're turning a blind eye towards them. Instead, you will come at that, oh, the workplace, I'm being oppressed. No, you don't fight where you're supposed to fight. You fight where you are not supposed to. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I think that is the problem. That's where like the men envy has gone wrong now, whereby we start taking things that are wrong and we don't take things from men which are right, which can build us as a woman, but we take things that will break us at the end of the day.
A friend of mine recently asked me a question, and they asked me if I had 24 hours, right, to be a man. So basically, like have the same male privilege,
That's so true.
and all these other things. What would I do? Can I just tell you? Can I be honest with you, right? And they're probably gonna watch this, and they're gonna be like, "Girl." I said if I had like the same male privilege and if I was a male, the first thing I'd do was apply for the job that I know I wasn't going to be hired for if I was, because obviously
A woman, yes.
and this person said to me, what? Like out of all the things you could do, why that? I'm saying, well, I mean, I am trying to get on top, but it's not easy because I'm a woman. But imagine if I had the same male privilege,
As a
and I
man.
was not labeled as emotional, and I was not labeled as, oh, but she can't really be in that position because she's so emotional, she's soft, she's this. You know, I'd probably be very far in life. You know, I'd be far. Let's just say that. Like I'd be very far in life, you know. But because I don't have that, and as much as I have a voice, I'm very opinionated. I don't like being oppressed and all these other things. It's so difficult, you know, to raise that voice in the right space or in the right with the right person, because of the fear of how that person is going to take whatever it is that I'm raising, you know. So essentially, with that,
My
I'm
thing is, my thing
men.
is, yeah, what you're saying, Ayanda, is that why are we looked at as you won't survive in a certain position because you're a woman and you're emotional? Okay, but then that's how I was wired. That's my genetics, you know. But that doesn't mean that I can't make certain decisions because I'm a woman. Yeah, I'll be emotional afterwards, but let me do my damn job, you know. It's not like I'm going to be crying all day at work. But I mean, we have men in our departments, I believe, wherever we are working, and no matter how hard things are, yeah, you can take a pass and go to the bathroom and cry about it, but at the end of the day, you do your job regardless. So why is it that being emotional and being soft is always being used against us? Like we can't do certain things because we are soft and we're going to cry. No, it's true, really, I'll cry, but I'll cry after I do the job. So just give me the damn job.
I don't think being
It's not,
I don't
guys.
know, hey.
many
Not.
people. Let's just
I don't think it's not. Personally, I think it's what we were taught, what we were spoon
Okay.
fed.
not just that. Can we just, because again, now there's a hierarchy of emotions. Is anger not an emotion?
True, it is. It is.
But a woman can't be angry. You know, we are afraid of being labeled black angry, a
Yes.
black angry
If
woman.
Bitches.
a man, again, I've had these conversations with male counterparts, and they were talking about how no woman, nyakala, you take things personally. Listen, guys, the wars that have been caused over the years over who's angry with who wants to steal who, that's all emotional. Those are all emotional wars. You can't tell me that women are more emotional than men. No, I mean, it's just a different emotion. Just because your emotion is higher in the hierarchy doesn't mean that my emotion is not normal. So the whole chat about women not getting certain positions because they're more emotional or they'll take it serious, it's just a different emotion that we exude. It's not to say that we can't do it because we're emotional. No.
I think it's just downplaying the fact that they don't want us in those positions. Our emotions have absolutely nothing to do with it. You know, they just don't want us in those tables. That's all.
That's what I'm
Um,
saying. Yeah.
because
It's
I mean, if you're angry, then you are a bitch. If you're crying, then you are too soft. So what the hell do you want from me?
Ladies. Closing
It
argument.
was in the semi, sorry.
Closing. We need to wrap,
We need to wrap up.
this.
hey guys.
Otherwise, we'll be here the whole day. You know.
True.
Heated conversations.
So, each of us can just go back to the topic and just say last few things that you would like to express about the topic, and then
Okay. Okay.
I'll start.
Okay.
Okay. No, you can go first.
Okay, cool. I feel like it's now up to us. I don't think that we are the only four women in South Africa or in the entire world who thinks and believes what we just spoke about. And it we need to be the change that we want to see. We need to have these conversations with our siblings, with our friends, with our families, and be very honest with ourselves as well when we are having those conversations, to say, here is a problem, what part am I playing in it? And yeah, that's basically what I want to say. We need to be very honest with ourselves before we are honest with other people about the part that we are playing in all of this.
I think I just want to say, I think this is a time where we need to self-introspect and see where you stand as a woman. Let's stop being judgmental towards each other. Let's stop belittling each other. Let's stop the push down syndrome. You understand? And let's just learn to love and appreciate each other for our differences and our diversity. And as women, let's start to appreciate each other and acknowledge each other's greatnesses instead of downfalls. Yeah.
I want to say, is toxic femininity a thing? Yes, absolutely. Just in case somehow I wasn't heard correctly or something, I think it is a thing. And I feel like just as toxic masculinity harms, both men and women, so does toxic femininity. It's just that with toxic femininity, we don't talk about it because, well, we are trying to catch up. So why denounce the movement when it's still trying to get up there? I think we don't talk about it. We essentially don't. We are afraid to be labeled as haters. We are afraid to be told that we are bringing the feminism movement down. Essentially, I just want to say that we can do better. You know, we can do better. The whole internalized misogyny that we need to unlearn certain things. The hate that we have for other women, somehow, as difficult as it is, because a lot of people actually have wounds, that were inflicted by other women. As difficult as it is to sort of scrape off that wound, don't be the one that inflicts, the same wound to another woman. I feel like there's so much that we can do as women to come together, to be sisters. There's so much that we can do to build the sisterhood that doesn't exist. Because for some reason we think if Snotile as a woman is going to be successful, Snotile can't bring me up because somehow that, it sort of affects her success in one way or the other, and I think we need to just continue having these conversations. I know that conversations are not going to change, but it's a start, not going to change things. We are not looking into redefining certain things, but we are looking into unlearning certain things and going back to the drawing board and talk about the movement as it was established, not diluted to suit our narrative, so Hamandla.
Viva.
For me, it was very important for this particular topic to be the first one we speak about, because the topics to come require one to be very aware of their own toxicity and the things that basically we've spoken about today. It's very important for women to be able to call out toxic masculinity, but also talk about the part that we play in upholding patriarchy, in upholding toxic masculinity. So yeah, this was a very important topic to initiate the conversations that are to come. For me, toxic femininity is damaging, and it sets us back as women, as the movement in its entirety. And again, it's easy to call out toxic masculinity because often it comes across as physical, way more than it comes across as emotional or verbal. And because of that, it goes unnoticed, and we ignore it or we applaud it. So we need to be able to call it out. We need to be able to have these conversations where we sit down and we say, actually, what so-and-so is doing, what Jada did, what Zorta is doing, and the many other women out there are doing is wrong. And we need to be comfortable enough to say that. And we need to be comfortable enough to say, yeah, we see what they're doing, but it's wrong. So yeah, toxic femininity is a thing. It exists, and it needs to be called out all the time.
And also, it's absolutely up to anyone really to whether they agree that it exists and whether they agree that it doesn't exist, right? Let it be known that these were our opinions.
Yes, please.
We will not surrender.
Yes.
We are not taking down our opinions. You either take it or you don't.
Yes, but
You girls are crazy. Yeah, it's important though to say that people have their own opinions, you know, either agree with it or you don't. At the end of the day, this is what we think, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah.